Many people will tell you that skiing is the ultimate winter sport. It's not hard to see why. The gorgeous mountainside with the freshly laden snow, breathtaking views, hurtling down an empty slope, and, of course, the ever-tempting après. It's very good. But me, personally, I prefer my winter sports to be a bit, well, louder. Yeah, Whistler and Chamonix, they're pretty nice, but there's nothing quite like South Wales on a cold December day, especially when you've got a flat six Porsche RS to drive. And we've already featured this car before in a video this year actually, so we didn't need to see it again, but then, well, you would, wouldn't you? This is quite possibly one of the greatest sports cars of the 21st century, and not only that, it's the only RS badge convertible that you can buy today, and that makes it pretty special.
At £123,000, the Spyder RS is exactly the same price as the hardtop Cayman GT4 RS. It's got the same 493 brake horsepower 4-litre flat six, the same wonderfully analogue cabin, and the same 7-speed PDK gearbox, which for me is the finest double clutch unit on sale today.
All of that minus the roof adds up to create one of the most special driving experiences of any car in any price range. It's small, it's loud, and it's so much fun. It's like a terrier with the howl of a werewolf, and I absolutely adore it.
In all of the excitement, it's easy to simply label the Spyder RS as a roadster version of the Cayman GT4 RS, and broadly, it is. But it's not exactly the same. There are some key differences. For starters, Porsche wanted the Spyder RS to feel more like a road car. Drop tops simply don't get thrown around race circuits as much as their hardtop counterparts. That means there's less focus on aero, with the swan neck rear spoiler being jettisoned entirely and a shorter front splitter to balance it out. It's also got much softer springs by 55% at the front and 43% at the rear, plus the damper rates have been revised accordingly.
And trust me, that has made a very, very big difference. The 718 Cayman GT4 RS is a very stiff car, so is this. But easing off that suspension makes it so much more usable on the road. I mean, this is hardly a Mercedes-Benz S-Class, but that extra give means it's less likely to bounce around at the back. And it just gives you more confidence. As is often the case, less is more. And the end result is that you can enjoy the engine to its fullest. And let's face it, that's the main event. How is this even legal? Oh man, I can drive this thing all day.
As drop-top thrills go, the Spyder RS is spectacular. But the trouble is, at this end of the market, there's always another rung on the ladder, because while a Porsche RS model sounds extreme, Somerset's finest have made something even more outrageous. Welcome to the Ariel Atom 4R. As As you've probably guessed, it takes a so-called regular Atom 4 and turns it up to 11 with more power, more aero and more insanity.
Now, if I thought I was cold in the Porsche, then I reckon I'm going to be even chillier in this thing, hence my Coco the Clown tribute trousers. I'm sure you can understand. I don't think this windscreen, if you can call it that, is going to do much, and while I know very well the limitations of the Porsche roof, this car solved it by not having one. But then the beauty of that is that you can see this gorgeous dashboard design, and I'm not being sarcastic, because while it's very pared back and simple, it's very exciting because it looks like something straight out of a racing car. In fact, it probably is. That'll definitely warm me up, and this turbo boost style is just the best thing I've ever seen. You can literally turn the turbo up. That's amazing.
The result of this pared back design is a curb weight of just 700 kilograms. Add that to the tuned Honda Civic Type R engine that produces 400 brake horsepower and 369 pounds-foot of torque, and you start to get the idea.
They've got that increased power for the R thanks to new air intake geometry and a revised cooling system that includes a brand new radiator on the left-hand side pod. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side pod, they've got a larger intercooler which increases the total intercooling area by 75%, which is a lot. Meanwhile, downforce, it's 110 kilograms at 70 mile an hour, and while we have heard of more than that, on a car like this, that makes a huge, huge difference. And funnily enough, much of it is down to that rear wing. It really is that big. I never thought I'd see the day where an RS Porsche is out-winged, but here we are. This little car has done it.
However, it's worth pointing out that the 4R without any options, priced at just under £78,000, actually doesn't come with this car's huge wing, nor does it come with the carbon panels, carbon brakes or carbon wheels. And rather than the Öhlins 4-way adjustable dampers and Quave's 6-speed sequential box, you get 2-way Bilsteins and an H-pattern manual. With all of the options added on, the total price of this car is about £140,000. And I'm sorry, but there's absolutely no way that a car with no windscreen could ever be worth that amount of money.
Well, actually, 30 seconds into driving this, no, actually 20 seconds into driving this car, I knew that it was the wildest, craziest, and quite possibly the fastest road car I've ever got behind the wheel of. And part of what makes it so mad is it's got some of the hardware from much more expensive, much heavier performance cars, but this thing weighs nothing. I've pushed heavier lawnmowers than this.
60 mile an hour comes up in 2.7 seconds, 100 mile an hour in less than 6.5. Max speed is 170 miles an hour.
Those figures are incredible, but they don't do it justice. It feels even faster. Just like in the Porsche, I'm pummeled with noise, but in that, it's much more predictable. You know what it's going to do when you flex your foot on the accelerator or pull on a paddle, but in this, it's like an orchestra of the unusual. It's always doing something different. You can hear just about everything in there. There's wastegate chatter, there's a bit of an electric drill, maybe a rhinoceros sneezing. There's everything. It may be quite a childish waste of a very impressive performance car, but I find myself pressing the throttle in odd patterns just to make it create even more interesting noises like that.
The sound has a greedy, mischievous mind of its own, constantly straining for more and more air. It really is outrageous to listen to.
The gearbox on this is quite interesting. It takes a bit of getting used to. It's 6-speed proper sequential box. It can do full throttle upshift. And it also has auto blips on down changes. But below 50 miles an hour, you really need to use the clutch. And above, you can just click the paddles like a video game. But it does mean that you can sometimes end up doing a bit of a merry dance on the pedals, especially because I'm not sure it blips all that convincingly in some of the lower gears. It's best to just make sure it's doing it and do it yourself. Oh, listen to that.
Dispatching ratios for fun might sound clinical, but it works with the experience, and it reflects a level of precision that bleeds into the chassis. By rights, the 4R should be a terrifying point-to-point bazooka that only Max Verstappen can get the most out of. But the reality, somehow, is so much different. Switchable motorsport traction control and ABS give you a relatively stable and relatively forgiving platform to build from, while deftly judged control weights and feel allow you to hone your style and gradually increase your game to a level that the 4R allows you to unlock. It has the enthusiasm of an excitable child showing you a new magic trick, yet the patience and control of an old hand passing on a trade they've spent their whole life mastering.
The suspension is nicely compliant. It's on quite a soft setup at the moment, front and rear. But it does take the undulations and bumps well. Some of the sharper stuff can throw it in some interesting directions which you need to respond to, but it's never that much of a hardship. As you might imagine, one of the hardest bits about driving this in these conditions is getting some heat into those tyres. The brakes aren't so hard to get heat into, and once they are up to temperature, they are awesome. And the ABS does a brilliant job of making them easy to use as well. Switching out the different turbo modes, I think one is a lot more useful in these conditions on the road. Definitely be leaving 3 alone, and even 2. The boost comes in so quickly and so ferociously, you've really got to be on it if it's happening mid-corner. The traction control is clever. It does let you have some slip depending on what setting you're in. But once you do nail everything, it's unlike anything else. I find myself concentrating so hard behind the wheel that I've actually forgotten about the fact it's only about 4 degrees in December. The very experience of driving this car warms me up better than any heated seat or climate control could. Okay, maybe that's a lie, but still, you get the idea.
As you probably worked out at this point, this test was, first and foremost, a bit of fun. These two cars aren't the most natural of rivals. However, they do both prioritise excitement and they deliver it in bucket loads. The Porsche is the ultimate version of one of the best sports cars of the last 25 years, and while it may not be as extreme as the Ariel, its engine is genuinely a reason for buying it all on its own. Meanwhile, the Atom is a rechargeable adrenaline hit with truly mind-melting pace that somehow isn't quite as scary and unwieldy to drive as it no doubt looks. Picking between the two is a choice unlikely to face many potential buyers, but if I had the £140,000 burning a hole in the back of my pocket, I'd look at it like this. If it was to be my only car, the Porsche wins for obvious reasons, yet if I had the money and space for something else, something more practical, then it would be hard to turn down the lure of the completely bonkers Atom 4R.